The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all News 9 viewers. I'm Neha Bhan. Let's take a look at some of the top stories of this hour. We begin with the Israel-Hamas war. It's been 81 days since Hamas's first attack on Israel. Since then, nearly 21,000 Gazans have lost their lives in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Let's get you the latest update from the war front. Egypt has proposed three-phase plan to end the war between Israel and Hamas. That is what certain reports are indicating. At least 250 people have been killed over the past 24 hours in central Gaza. This is according to Gaza Health Ministry. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has visited Gaza and is vowed a long fight in Israel-Hamas war. Meanwhile, he's also said he's ready to encourage Palestinians in Gaza to leave the enclave. He was also heckled by families of hostages during a Knesset session. Meanwhile, Pope has called for ceasefire and hostage release in his Christmas Day message. Talking about the death toll now, 20,674 Palestinians have been killed in the Gaza war so far. An Israeli airstrike outside the Syrian capital Damascus has killed a senior advisor in Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Iran has threatened to make Israel pay for the killing of the senior IRGC commander.
A senior advisor in Iran's Revolutionary Guards has been killed in an Israeli airstrike on Syria. Iranian state TV interrupted its regular news broadcast to announce the death of Sayed Razi Mousavi, describing him as one of the Guards' oldest advisors in Syria. He is seen here with Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Guards' elite Quds force, who was killed in a US drone attack in Iraq in 2020. Iranian officials have vowed revenge for his death, with the president saying it showed weakness on the part of Israel. There was no immediate comment from Israel's military. Israel has for years carried out attacks against what it describes as Iran-linked targets in Syria. Tehran's influence has grown in the country since it backed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the civil war that erupted in 2011.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to keep up the fight against Hamas terrorists, while Palestinians mourned the death of 100 people who the Gaza officials said were killed overnight in Israeli airstrikes.
The Israeli government on Monday released footage of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu clad in a helmet and Kevlar vest, arriving by tank to greet soldiers inside the Gaza Strip.
אני שומע כאן דבר אחד, כל הזמן. להמשיך עד הסוף.
He tells them the war is not over. It will end in total victory, no less than that. His remarks come after reports that the leaders of Hamas, the Palestinian Islamist group that governed Gaza, rejected an Egyptian proposal that they relinquish power in the enclave in exchange for a permanent ceasefire. That's according to two Egyptian security sources who spoke to Reuters on Monday. An official from Hamas later denied what the sources said about the talks. Fighting in Gaza erupted after Palestinian fighters rampaged through Israeli communities on October 7th, killing 1,200 and taking hundreds of captives. Israel retaliated with a full-blown invasion aimed at eradicating Hamas and bringing the captives home. Punishing airstrikes and ground maneuvers have transformed cities into wastelands, and Gaza's health ministry said last week the death toll had topped 20,000. Thousands more are believed buried beneath the rubble. The last 48 hours have been particularly deadly. At least 70 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on the Mughazi refugee camp in the middle of the Gaza Strip. A warning to viewers, this video includes graphic images of death and destruction. Ibrahim Mohammed Al-Haj Yusuf lost his wife and 4 children in the attack. He told Reuters, quote, "My wife and children are still trapped inside. I only managed to uncover my eldest son, Mohammed. What fault did they have? Why did this happen to them? It's not their fault. The world watches us die and being slaughtered. Are these the resistance? They are innocent children. The Israeli army said it was reviewing the report of the Maghazi strike and was committed to minimizing harm to civilians. Israel says Hamas operates in densely populated areas and uses civilians as human shields, which Hamas denies. Egypt and Qatar have shuttled between Hamas and Israel in an effort to reach some kind of a ceasefire that might provide for the return of hostages and the delivery of humanitarian aid. The Egyptian sources said that Hamas had rejected offering any concessions beyond the possible release of more hostages in exchange for a permanent ceasefire. Israel says it would consider a temporary pause in fighting in exchange for prisoners, but it would not consider a permanent ceasefire that leaves Hamas in control of Gaza. The footage released by Israel showed Netanyahu glad-handing with combat soldiers who pledge until the end. But back in Parliament that day, he faced heckling from some hostages' families. They chanted, "Now, now, now," and demanding that he pursue the release of captives at all costs. Netanyahu responded that an earlier ceasefire, which resulted in the release of some 100 captives, would not have happened without military pressure on Hamas. More than 100 Israelis are believed still held hostage in Gaza.
The families of hostages gathered at the main gate of the Israeli Defense Ministry complex in Tel Aviv, awaiting the security cabinet ministers to plead for the rescue of their family members. The protesters laid out hourglasses indicating that time is running out for each of the hostages still in Hamas captivity. Listen in.
I don't know who is going to come, but if it will be the Prime Minister, I will tell him that he is responsible to what happened in October 7, and he needs to fix it. He needs to bring them back as soon as possible, because they don't have any time over there in the tunnels, and their life are in danger. And we hope that they will make a deal as soon as possible, because we need to save them.
We're standing here because the cabinet is gathering here to discuss a deal, the deal that's on the table, and we're here to tell them that they have our back and that we trust them and believe them that they can make brave decisions, and we expect them to do anything they can to bring back the hostages now.
The US military conducted targeted strikes on 3 facilities in Iraq used by Iran-backed forces, specifically Kataib, Hezbollah and affiliated groups. This action was in response to a series of attacks against US personnel in Iraq and Syria. President Joe Biden, United States President Joe Biden, according to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, is committed to taking necessary actions to defend the United States, its troops and interests. Kataib Hezbollah, a Shiite militia founded in 2007 with support from Iran's Revolutionary Guards, was declared a foreign terrorist organization by the US in 2009. The group's Secretary General Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis was also sanctioned for violence against US-led coalition forces in Iraq. The recent increase in attacks on US troops in Iraq is noted amid the conflict in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. Australia opener Usman Qayja has accused the International Cricket Council of having double standards after being refused permission to display a dove of peace on his bat during the Boxing Day test. The Pakistan-born player has been vocal about his support for the people of Gaza during the ongoing conflict in the enclave. He was also reprimanded for wearing a black armband in the fire test against Pakistan in Perth earlier this month. Qayja, in fact, had initially intended to show his support by writing the messages, and I quote, "Freedom is a human right, all lives are equal," unquote, on his boots in the color of the Palestinian flag, but that gesture also fell foul of the ICC regulations. 2 drone-dropped packets containing arms and cash were seized in a joint operation by the army and the police from a village near the line of control in Akhnur sector. The packets, believed to have been dropped by Pakistani drones for subversive activities, were noticed lying in an open field in Channi village. The army and the police launched a joint operation immediately and the packets were opened with the help of a bomb disposal squad. My colleague Ankit Bhatt gets us the ground report.
TV9 भारतवर्ष पे आज हम आपको दिखाएंगे पाकिस्तान की ड्रोन वाली साजिश के सबूत। हम दिखाएंगे कि किस तरीके से जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और सुरक्षा बलों ने पाकिस्तान की ड्रोन वाली साजिश को विफल किया। दरअसल 2 दिन पहले पाकिस्तान की तरफ से 4 आतंकियों को अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा की तरफ भारतीय सेना ने देखा, जिसमें से 2 आतंकियों को सेना ने ढेर किया। इसी जगह पर भारतीय सेना की तरफ से और सुरक्षा बलों जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की तरफ से व्यापक सर्च ऑपरेशन चलाया गया, जिसके बाद जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस को एक पैकेट मिलता है और साफ तौर पे ये दिखाता है कि किस तरीके से लगातार पाकिस्तान जो है वो ड्रोन के जरिए इस पैकेट के अंदर एक कंसाइनमेंट आती है, जिसको जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस ने इसी इलाके खोड़ के अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा के पास रिकवर किया। इससे क्या कुछ निकला ये हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। ये देखिए, मेड इन इटली ये पिस्टल है जो इस कंसाइनमेंट में आई थी। उसके साथ साथ 2 यहां पर मैगजीन्स है, 35,000 रुपए कैश। और ये देखिए, अब हम वो सबूत दिखा रहे हैं जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्री, इस पे साफ तौर पे लिखा हुआ है, ये मार्किंग है और ये दिखाती है कि किस तरीके से लगातार पाकिस्तान आतंकवाद को यहाँ पर स्पॉन्सर कर रहा है, ड्रोन के जरिए हथियार और ड्रग्स की खेप पहुंचाने का प्रयास कर रहा है। और उसके साथ साथ यहाँ पर ये 6 आईडीज जिसमें टाइमर और डेटोनेटर जो है वो लगाए गए थे। ये हैंड ग्रेनेड है जो इस कंसाइनमेंट में आई थी, लेकिन वक्त रहते यही वो जाबाज जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस के जवान हैं जिन्होंने यहाँ पर व्यापक सर्च ऑपरेशन चलाया और यहाँ पर आतंकियों की ड्रोन वाली साजिश को विफल किया। लगातार पाकिस्तान में बैठे हुए आतंकी ये प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि बर्फबारी से ठीक पहले आतंकियों की घुसपैठ करवाई जा सके और आतंकियों तक जिस तरीके से जम्मू कश्मीर में पूरी कमर जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और सुरक्षा बलों ने तोड़ी है, हथियारों की कमी काफ़ी ज़्यादा आतंकियों के पास से देखने को मिल रही है। ऐसे में पाकिस्तान ड्रोन वाली साजिश को रच रहा है, जिसको आए दिन जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और सुरक्षा बल विफल कर रहे हैं। TV9 भारतवर्ष पे आप एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से पाकिस्तान की ड्रोन वाली साजिश को एक बार फिर सुरक्षा बलों ने विफल बनाया है।
The army has transferred a brigadier and 3 officers in Poonch Rajouri sector. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey assessed the security situation post the Dera Ki Gali encounter during a visit to the region. A multi-agency investigation is taking place on the recent ambush by terrorists in the area that resulted in the deaths of army personnel. The army chief there reviewed the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir with senior commanders. 4 soldiers of the Indian Army were killed and 3 others in fact were injured after heavily armed terrorists ambushed 2 army vehicles in Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir. The Indian Navy is set to commission its newest stealth-guided missile destroyer, Infal, at Naval Dockyard, Mumbai. Now, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be presiding over the ceremony as the chief guest. Notably, Infal is the first warship named after a city in the northeast, signifying the region's strategic importance. Delivered on the 20th of October, Infal successfully test-fired the extended-range supersonic BrahMos missile in November 2023 before commissioning. The induction of the Infal destroyers marked the formal entry of the 3rd Vishakhapatnam class of destroyers crafted by the Indian Navy's Warship Design Bureau and built by Mazagon Dock Limited, Mumbai, into the Navy's fleet. The vessel features a state-of-the-art surveillance radar, furnishing target data to the ship's gunnery weapon system. Its anti-submarine warfare capabilities include indigenously developed rocket launchers, torpedo launchers and ASW helicopters. India has deployed 3 warships in the Indian Ocean region. The stepped-up security in the region comes in the wake of an attack on merchant ship Chem Pluto in the region. The merchant ship was brought to Mumbai on Monday and the Navy has carried out preliminary assessment of the debris found on the ship. Iran, meanwhile, has strongly refuted the US claim that it attacked an Indian vessel in the Arabian Sea. A spokesperson of Iran's foreign ministry said that, quote-unquote, US acquisition is baseless. The Pentagon had accused Iran of launching the drone attack on the chemical tanker 200 nautical miles southwest of Veravel coast, Gujarat on Saturday.
पश्चिमी अफ्रीकी देश लाइबेरिया का एक मर्चेंट शिप संयुक्त अरब अमीरात से निकला था। उसे हिंदुस्तान के मैंगलोर तट पर जाना था, लेकिन गुजरात के पोरबंदर तट से लगभग 220 नॉटिकल माइल पर अज्ञात मिसाइल या ड्रोन से इस शिप पर हमला किया गया था, जिसके बाद आग लग गई। उसके बाद में उस शिप पर मौजूद क्रू मेंबर्स ने मदद की मांग की भारतीय एजेंसियों से, जिसके बाद में कोस्ट गार्ड की शिप को रवाना किया गया था और 25 दिसंबर को अब ये शिप मुंबई पोर्ट ट्रस्ट पहुंची है। मुंबई के गेट ऑफ इंडिया के सामने से ही इस शिप को मुंबई पोर्ट ट्रस्ट की तरफ लेकर जाया गया है, जहां पर इस शिप में जो भी क्रू मेंबर्स हैं उनसे पूछताछ की जाएगी। साथ ही साथ में जो अज्ञात हमला किया गया था, पहले ये जानकारी दी गई थी कि ड्रोन अटैक है और उसके बाद में ये बात भी सामने आ रही है कि दरअसल एक मिसाइल अटैक भी हो सकता है। तो तमाम एजेंसियां जो है, कह सकते हैं कि मल्टीपल एजेंसियां जो है इस पूरे मामले की तफ्तीश में लगी हुई है। साथ साथ में जो क्रू मेंबर्स थे, कुल 22 क्रू मेंबर बताए जा रहे हैं, उन सभी से पूछताछ की जाएगी ताकि ये हमला कैसे हुआ और किस तरह का मलबा इस वक्त शिप पर मौजूद है उसको लेकर जानकारी इकट्ठा की जाए, क्योंकि ऐसा पहली बार हुआ है इतिहास में कि भारतीय समुद्री सीमा के अंदर जो है इस तरह का इतना बड़ा हमला हुआ है, किसी मालवाहक जहाज पर अटैक हुआ है। क्योंकि किसी भी देश में जो समुद्री सीमा होती है वो 200 नॉटिकल माइल की होती है और 200 नॉटिकल माइल के बाद यानी कि और अधिक 20 नॉटिकल माइल के आगे यह हमला समुद्री सीमा में किया गया, जो कि कहीं ना कहीं ये दिखाता है कि एक बड़ी साजिश हो सकती है। क्योंकि ये जो शिप है वो लाइबेरिया की शिप है, इसे हिंदुस्तान आना था। चूंकि पेंटागन की तरफ से ये बयान आया था कि इस हमले के पीछे ईरान हो सकता है, हूती का इस्तेमाल इस हमले के पीछे किया गया हो, इसे तमाम तरह के आकलन, तमाम तरह की बातें कही जा रही है। लेकिन हिंदुस्तान में इस शिप के एंट्री के बाद में इसे बॉम्बे पोर्ट ट्रस्ट लाया गया है, जहां पर मल्टीपल एजेंसियां इस पूरे मामले की तफ्तीश कर रही हैं।
A dense fog blankets Delhi's second day in a row. The visibility was reduced to 50 meters in many areas of the capital, impacting both rail and air operations. 5 Delhi-bound flights were diverted to Jaipur and around 25 flights were delayed. The northern railways have also been hit by the dense fog. 14 trains were delayed because of low visibility. Very dense fog blanketed Delhi for a second day in a row and reduced visibility to 50 meters in parts of the capital this morning. Following which, both air and rail operations have been disrupted. The air quality continues to remain in the very poor category, while the mercury in fact dipped to 7 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. Roads in Himachal Pradesh are witnessing massive traffic congestion as several tourists have started to throng to the hill stations in the state for Christmas and New Year celebrations. In order to beat the traffic, a tourist found an rather unique way to beat the traffic by ditching roads for a drive across a river. In the video, the tourist can be witnessed driving a Mahindra Thar SUV through the Chandra River in Lahore Valley. Take a look. Well, that's all we have in this edition of the Bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next is a lot more. Stay with us.
The circumstances that prevailing today in the subcontinent are very volatile, they're very explosive, they're very dangerous.
Pakistanis, they sent Pakistani armies led by Punjabi generals, whether it was